falsely accusing me of blasphemous libel that I haven't touched upon in this video yet. The Unitarians and the Universalists, before they merged in 1961, they were separate sects of Christianity, heretical sects of Christianity. Unitarians were considered heretics because they denied the Trinity, and Universalists were considered heretics because they preached universal salvation. Basically, they preached that nobody goes to hell, that eventually everyone is saved, and this is heretical, from a Orthodox traditional Christian standpoint, and because Unitarians and Universalists had been repeatedly persecuted with blasphemy laws, for their what's considered to be heresy by the mainstream Christian church, they essentially opposed blasphemy laws because they were very often on the wrong end of blasphemy laws. Some Unitarians or Universalists were jailed for their alleged heresy or their blasphemy, their alleged blasphemy, and some others were even executed for their alleged blasphemy or heresy. And so as a result of this, Unitarians and Universalists, even before merging into one Unitarian Universalist Association in 1961, had a centuries-old tradition of opposing blasphemy laws, and this was a core value or ideal or principle of Unitarian Universalism, and yet in the 21st century, the Unitarian Universalist Association, under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Peter Morales, and also the executive vice president of the Unitarian Universalist Association at the time, Kathleen K. Montgomery, who really knows how to put the vice into vice president, thought it'd be a really good idea to accuse me of blasphemy. And what's interesting about that, it's already very interesting, but what's extra interesting about it is that Reverend Dr. Peter Morales and Kathleen K. Montgomery are atheists. They're not even God-believing Unitarians or Universalists. They are atheist Unitarian. What? Yeah, I'm talking about some leaders of the Unitarian Church. So I'm not down on all atheists, just the ones that are accusing me of blasphemy. So anyway, thanks. I have no worries, sir. I'm not down on you. So this guy overheard me pointing out how specifically the two Unitarian Universalists who are most responsible for falsely accusing me of... Is that you, Peter? Could be Peter. It looks like it might be Peter Bulata entering the church. Didn't get a really good look at the fellow, but he had about the right, size and head shape. I didn't actually see the face very well. It looks like he had a beard, but it could have been Peter Bulata. And one of the reasons I began this protest earlier than usual was because I had hoped that Peter Bulata might actually see my protest. So if that was Peter Bulata, Reverend Peter Bulata, well, he did at least catch a glimpse of my protest. It may not have been him, it could have been someone else. As I said, I really didn't get a good look at the fellow, but he was the right size, the right head shape. I basically only saw the back of the head. Again, no definitive identity there, but very real possibility that Peter Burlata just entered the Unitarian Church of Montreal and did at least catch a glimpse of my protest, and he certainly, if it was him, he would have heard me saying, "Is that you, Peter?" And of course he's very well aware of this protest. He was the interim minister back in, I guess it was 2006 or 7, after Reverend Ray Drennan resigned as the minister of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Reverend Peter Burlata came in as the interim minister, and he's preaching here today as part of the celebrations of the 175th anniversary. We'll just zoom in here so we can see the banner for the, it goes in quite well. So yeah, Unitarian Church of Montreal, 1842 to 2017. So this year, the Unitarian Church of Montreal is celebrating its anniversary, and 175th anniversary. And who knows, I might be around in 25 years to protest when they're holding their 200th anniversary, the way things are going, because I've actually been protesting for the better part of 20 years already. So who knows, it could go for another 25 years if I live that long. and I mean, I'm half joking here, but you know what, if I'm alive in 25 years and this the issues behind this protest, because there's actually many different issues, aren't resolved to my satisfaction, maybe I'll come back and protest against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy 25 years from now. I might be in a wheelchair, I might have a walker and an oxygen tank or whatever, but yeah, if I'm still around 25 years from now and Unitarian Universalists haven't done the right thing, maybe I don't intend to protest for another 25 years. I'm sure Reverend Diane Rollert and other Montreal Unitarians are happy to hear that, but I'm not promising to stop protesting anytime soon either. I can easily protest for another 5 years. I don't think that's a problem if it comes down to it. But it would be better if Montreal Unitarians and the Unitarian Universalist religious community more generally, came to their senses and dealt responsibly with the injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy that I've been protesting against for the better part of 20 years. I mean, I've actually been protesting for more than 20 years if you include, letters of grievance and so on. But in terms of actual peaceful public protest in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, it began in May of 1998. So in May of 2018, just over a year from now, I will be celebrating the 20th anniversary of initiating this protest against a variety of Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisies. And what's interesting is the protest began primarily as a protest against the anti-religious intolerance and bigotry of Reverend Ray Drennan and some other leading members of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, Frank Green being one of them, and Val Bourdon being another one, but a few others. Essentially, the protest, and Ray Drennan himself, of course. I think I actually did mention that, but yeah, basically the protest began as a protest against the anti-religious intolerance and bigotry that I had encountered here at the Unitarian Church of Montreal, and that many other people had encountered at other Unitarian Universalist churches in North America. But I very quickly added a protest against clergy sexual misconduct and the UUA's failure to provide justice to victims of clergy sexual misconduct specifically, because, you know, when I complained about Reverend Ray Drennan's non-sexual clergy misconduct, essentially his intolerance and bigotry and related verbal and psychological abuse, and indeed defamation against me, I quickly became aware from advocates of victims of clergy misconduct, you know, that you know, there were serious cases of clergy sexual misconduct that had been very badly handled by the Unitarian Universalist Association as well. So, as a result of becoming aware of that, I added clergy sexual misconduct and the UUA's failure to deal responsibly with it to my protest very early in the protest. As I said, the protest began in May of 1998, and you know, as I said, at that time it was very centered on the anti-religious intolerance and bigotry that I'd been subjected to. That was the main number one issue. There was almost zero reference to clergy sexual misconduct, even though I may have been aware, even at that time, of some of the issues. But I can't remember exactly when I added clergy sexual misconduct in terms of my peaceful public protest, but it was sometime, you know, reasonably soon after I began my protest. Certainly by the absolute latest, and I'm sure it was earlier than this, in May of 2000, I went down to the UUA headquarters at 25 Beacon Street in Boston to protest. Okay, looks like we're almost done with the video here, so I'm going to let it run out. I'll continue in another segment of video in terms of what happened in Boston in May of 2000.